And welcome on back. Well, welcome on back. I got to thank you guys so much for joining us back here on Unpopular Opinion. I got to give it to her. Out of the massive selection of songs I told her to kind of pick and choose from, she's actually done a pretty good job thus far. I got to give her a high five later on. Make sure that she's full aware. Anyhow, thank you guys so much for joining us back here on Unpopular Opinion. We are about to get into a segment number was it number two, right? We're on segment number two? Yes, segment number two. Where we're going to get into what is really grinding my gears. The good old Peter Griffin one. Um, and man, I gotta say we got a couple of doozies this week. And Blue Diamond Van, again, I want to thank you for bringing this story to my attention because I had no idea until I just started like kind of looking at it and reading on it. I just kind of glanced over until then. But then I've seen it started angering a lot of people, including one of the developers that I work closely with right now currently. And I kind of took it a little step further and just kind of, I wanted to fully read into it to kind of see what it fully entailed. And it's not good. And what I'm talking about here, guys, is the news story that broke last week regarding the Unity game engine and its developers and them changing their pricing model to now charging developers for the engine. Now, a little bit of backstory for some of you guys who have no idea what the Unity engine is. It may be just like another name that you have no fucking idea what it is or what it entails for the game developers. Let me break it down for you. There's a couple of game engines out there right now that people can use to build their games. Epic's game engine, which you've probably seen a lot of, like if you turn a video game on and one of the first things you see is like the Epic game engine logo pop up on the screen. That's a game engine. Ubisoft has their not Ubisoft, I'm sorry, Capcom. I don't remember the name of it. Resident Evil uses it. EA has one, the Frostbite engine. And now, I think this one was like a Ubisoft one, right? It's the Unity engine, and the Unity icon will pop up before a game starts. And the Unity engine is actually one of those game engines that's actually very, very user-friendly. It's easy to pick up and use. You can develop almost any kind of video game for like mobile platforms. You can develop one for console, even computer. It's utilized. It's alongside the most popular one next to the Epic Game Engine. If you're trying to figure out what games kind of use the Unity engine, besides the ones that we work with here on Treefall Studios, we use the Unity engine quite extensively. But games like Beat Saber, Pokemon Go, Outer Wilds, RimWorld, Fall Guys, all these games use the Unity game engine. These are games that use that engine. So, what does that mean for you? As a consumer, probably nothing. You look at this from the standpoint from a consumer. This probably doesn't mean a whole lot to you. You're just kind of like, okay, this is more of a developer story. And it is. This is more now of a story directed towards developers. But this can have a longing effect. Man, I got to get my words together today. A longing effect towards the consumers. And let me explain why. Well, I guess it would help if I kind of explain what the problem or the issue is right now with the engine. So, what they want to do is they now want to charge game developers each time a consumer installs a qualifying game to meet the criteria. Now, there are certain criteria that a game has to meet to be able to trigger this Unity runtime fee. And the runtime fee is basically they charge now the developer each time a game is installed and played of their game. So each time a game is installed, they get charged a fee. Doesn't matter. Even if the player never even plays the game. If the game's installed, they get charged a fee once it meets a certain criteria. Here's the criteria that a game has to meet to be able to trigger the new runtime fee, as they're calling it. The game has to generate a revenue of over $200,000 over a 12-month period. I mean, come on. Pokemon Go, Fallout, Fall Guys, those games do that probably on a weekly basis. Over a 12-month period and 200,000 installs over its lifetime. Some of those games have already eclipsed that 5 times over. This is going to be for the Unity Personal and Plus membership tiers. If these criteria are met, developers will then have to start coughing up 20 cents for each install of the game. There's another 2 tiers for the membership as well. That's the Unity Pro and the Unity Enterprise members will have to meet a threshold of $1 million in revenue and 1 million installs over a 12-month period to trigger the runtime fee. But if you have one of these memberships, which are more expensive to have, by the way, they will then pay a reduced rate compared to the smaller developers, as little as a penny per install. So, if the game has over 1,000,001 installs per month, these changes will then start to kick in, and this goes into effect on January 1st, 2024. Man, it's... One of the biggest issues is this is going to apply to, like, this Unity pricing structure is going to apply to all games, even those that were released years ago that use this engine before this new criteria kicks in. So this is not going to games that are releasing after January 1st, 2024. These go to any game that's been used. So if you made a game 10 years ago, and you use the Unity engine, you sold a few million copies of that game, they're going to come back and want their money, almost like they're the IRS, like they're the tax service now. Who the fuck do you think you are? And the sad thing is, this is going to affect smaller developers more so than the big studios. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but sooner or later, every studio is going to be a small studio. There ain't going to be big studios anymore. That's going to go out the window. Most houses and most studios are turning into small development houses. Every time they try to expand and get into a big studio, they always have to downsize it. Look what just happened to the developers of Immortals, the game that just came out, Immortals of Avalon, the game that just came out for Xbox. They just shipped their game not even a month ago. And they just cut their studio almost in half. Because the game just didn't sell that well. And they had to cut jobs. Now you want to tell me that you want to put more strain on those studios because of the installs of the game? So if the game's successful, thank you, more money please. Get your fucking hand out of the developer's face. That's going to close down. I won't even say it's going to close down studios because we don't know the outcome of what this is going to be, especially once this takes effect the next year. But I can tell you right now, some of those smaller studios that are already penny pinching, and now they're going to have to fear whether a game that they released, that they built on the Unity engine, that they released 5-6 years ago, that was very successful to them, now they're going to have to pay for that? That doesn't make sense at all. And the other big question that a lot of developers are starting to ask too, well, what about pirated copies? What about copies that are like downloaded or installed illegally? And Unity's going to try to backpedal a little bit here and try to play some PR, like, oh, we're working on ways to kind of take a look at that. That's a smart way of saying, No, they're not. This is just brought to our attention. We'll try our best, but if it doesn't, who gives a fuck? I hate to tell you, the developers themselves are the ones that are going to give a fuck. And how does this affect the consumer? Well, let's think about it. You're going to have less inclined developers to develop. One, they're not going to develop games using the Unity engine, which means they're going to start developing games using probably Epic, some of the other engines that are out there, which means it's going to be harder for them to develop games on. It could take them longer because now they got to get acquainted with new tools or a new tool set. Could take them longer to develop. The studio sizes are going to be smaller, which means the games are going to take longer to develop. And who knows? Let one of these studios put out a game using the Unity engine and say, you know what? Well, we'll just increase the price of this game to the consumer so that we can use that price increase to try to help offset this rising cost that the Unity's trying to put on us. And the people over that work over here at the Unity, at this, whatever the fucking company is that owns Unity, can't tell me they didn't see this company, why they didn't see this coming. Because if they didn't, then why the hell did the CEO of this company sell off a lot of the stock, a lot of his personal stock in this company? Did he sell it off before this announcement just came out? And I'm not talking about like months before it came out. I'm talking about like a day before this announcement came out. He sold that stock off because he knew it was going to plummet. He knew it was going to piss people off. He knew the backlash that was coming and he didn't care. This is what's leading me to believe that they don't care what your thoughts or opinions are on it at all. They don't care. They can try to say, well, yeah, we're developer friendly. This is showing the complete opposite. And I help work in a studio, contribute to Treefall Studios. And Eli, if you're listening, I got you, bud. Contribute to the studio, and all their games are Unity based. It's a good engine to use. It's easy to develop for, especially for those that are just stepping into the industry. It's the most cost-effective engine to use. Not anymore. It's also one of the easiest tools to use to build your game off of. They just shot all of that out the fucking window. I don't know what game developers are going to use this going forward, but this new runtime fee is so anti-developer that I don't see any of them using that shit at all. I wouldn't. I would already be looking for a new engine to use and to build off of. A runtime fee? Are you guys really that hard up for money that's the level that you would go to? The fuck were you guys thinking? It's just like look, I know a lot of companies out there now are money grabbing. A lot of companies are penny pinching now. They're looking for new ways to kind of get money. They got to try to do this and do that to try to generate more and more revenue. Prices of everything in this world are going up substantially. So they got to try to find more and more ways to get more money and get more money. This isn't it. Look, I'm sure there's other ways you can kind of go about to kind of get more money. Maybe increase the price of your engine by a little bit. You don't have to do a whole lot. But to charge 20 cents per install once it passes a certain threshold, and you know there's a lot of games. And I mean, I'm going to hate to see Niantic's bill for Pokemon Go, because that used the Unity engine. I'm going to hate to see their bill come January 1st for what they're going to owe because of their back channeling and backlogging that fucking far. Fall Guys, the same way. Beat Saber. You know how many platforms Beat Saber's on? I mean, seriously. And you now want to go back and start charging all them because they used you. You should be thankful they built those games using your engine to begin with. That's like free advert. I'm gonna say free advertising, but that's advertising for other developers to come to you. This is the opposite of that. Now you're telling them don't use our engine. We don't want you to use our engine. So if any of you guys from Unity are listening to this right now, go fuck yourself. Fuck all. This whole fucking plan. I don't know who thought of it. I don't know who thought this was going to be a good idea. Like the higher ups at Unity are fucking stupid. I begin to wonder if a lot of times, like a lot of the companies that we shop with or we go with on a daily basis, how fucking stupid some of their higher ups really, really are. And I don't like to use the word stupid or dumb in a context of any sort often, but some people just straight up deserve it. The CEO or the one who approved this has got to be dumb as a box of nails. Or whatever analogy you want to use. Just absolutely stupid. Makes no sense to me. And I don't think there's anybody out there that can easily defend this and say this is a good idea, this is a good thing for gaming. If you are one of them, man, you must be rubbing that tongue of yours awfully raw from all the boots you've been licking. It's just not a good look whatsoever. It's awfully stupid. I hope they change this. I hope this backfires so badly that they're forced to change it. I tell everybody the biggest way to hit any company that tries to do some stupid shit like this, the best way is to either not buy their product or not give them any bit of your money. I did it to DirecTV not even a month ago. The best way to hit a company is hit them in their pockets. They will then have no recourse but to turn around. That's about the best I can say. Hit them in their pockets, hit it where it counts.